House Freedom Caucus and member of the House Appropriations Committee, Congressman Andy Harris of Maryland. Sir, great to have you today on Newsline.
Good to be with you.
We don't know what's going to happen in Texas, but if this stays, it is a setback for Republicans, the midterms. Talk to us about what is happening really across our nation when it comes to this. California is bypassing an independent commission, but these judges in Texas say they can't do this. A lot of people are scratching their heads over this one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, the average American thinks that we should not use gerrymandering to a large extent, and they absolutely think it probably shouldn't be done mid-cycle, but it is being done mid-cycle, and the Republicans are participating, the Democrats are participating. I don't know where it all ends, but again, the courts are going to decide, and that's true in Maryland, where they are going to Democrats are going to try to come after my seat. It's going to be decided by a court in the end.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because you're really someone who, has a skin in the game in this. You have Maryland Governor Wes Moore. This is what he says about defending democracy in his state, Congressman, to redraw the map, potentially putting your seat, again, in a bit of a precarious spot. Here's Moore in his own words.
And if we're serious about protecting our democracy, we cannot and will not just sit back and watch. Not in Maryland, not anywhere. So while other states are taking their cue from Donald Trump to rig the system, Maryland is doing the opposite. And that's why today I am announcing the Governor's Redistricting Advisory Commission.
So he's jumping on the bandwagon. He's also hanging with Antifa folks at the Commanders game. I mean, his judgment really is questionable lately, Congressman.
That's absolutely right. I mean, the bottom line is, yes, he just wants to rig the system in Maryland. He appointed a commission that has 4 Democrats and then 1 nominal Republican who contributed to his election campaign. He said, with regards to the Washington Post editorial that said he's going to be disenfranchising Republicans, he said IDGAF. Look, he just doesn't care about the rights of Republicans in Maryland. And our Constitution is a little different. It actually, the last time this was tested in the court in 2022, the decision was it's unconstitutional to draw a partisan gerrymander. He can't get a 8-0 map in Maryland, where 2 of our last 4 governors have been Republican, without drawing a partisan gerrymander.
And, there's budget deficit concerns. What's the cost to taxpayers? We just saw what Newsom spent out there in California. So big concerns. If you're in Maryland, they got to make sure they're paying attention closely to this. Let's talk about Epstein, because the Democrats had this sudden infatuation, the day the government was being reopened, and now President Trump hosting MBS, and they want to make it all about releasing the files. But Stacey Plaskett, the delegate, Democrat from the Virgin Islands, now it's been revealed that she was texting with him during a congressional hearing. These are actually the texts that are put up. She's asking Epstein for some clarification on something that Michael Cohen was talking about, what RONA meant, the acronym, quick, I'm up next. It's shameful. I know you posted on X about this, that there is explaining to do. But here's her take when she is held by the liberal media. At least you got to give a little bit of credit to try to push her. This is her response.
I got a text from Jeffrey Epstein, who at the time was my constituent, who was not public knowledge at that time that he was under federal investigation, and who was sharing information with me.
Okay, well, she goes on CNN, Congressman Harris, and says, I want to move on. She did, get pressed a little because he was a known sex offender. So it's interesting that she wants to move on pretty quick, doesn't she?
Yeah, look, she got caught with her hand in the cookie jar. The interesting thing is this was not part of the data dump that's going to occur as the result of this bill. It was actually part of the Epstein estate files that were subpoenaed by the Republicans. We have the records. I think what they're going to find is, like in the Larry Summers case, that a lot of closely connected Democrats, look, we didn't imagine it reached into the House, but obviously it reached into the House of Representatives with Delegate Plaskett. She could not explain it. Hakeem Jeffries, if you want to laugh, go see and how he tries to explain it to say whether it was appropriate. It's totally inappropriate. She should have been censured. Again, that might not be. We might not have had the last word on a censure for Delegate Plaskett. But look, they ought to be careful, because Jeffrey Epstein was a Democrat, close Democrat connections, obviously with Delegate Plaskett. And by the way, having your love island in the Virgin Islands actually, whether you're a resident of New York, does not